Confirm the deal. Twitter has enormous potential. How will Twitter change? That's what I want to see. Musk's comments on free speech suggest the billionaire could loosen rules on how tweets are moderated. That's where most of the fear comes from. I understand why many conservatives find that are in the impression that speech is too harshly moderated on Twitter, especially with the Trump ban, etc. But look, studies have shown that right-wing content actually has an advantage when it comes to social media, because rage bait, outrage, and we've talked about this a lot on stream, outrage is king on social media. Conservative takes generate outrage. It sucks, but it works. Like, lefties end up promoting conservative content on social media just by raging at it. That being said, moderation does hit conservative social media harsher than like left-leaning social media. However, there is a problem with that. It's also because conservative media tends to be more misinformation. Like, I'm sorry, but facts don't care about your punditry. But that does raise very legitimate concerns about who is the fact checker, who is the arbiter of truth. And both sides, this is where I will go both sides on this. Both sides have been extremely intellectually inconsistent when it comes to complaining about who is the arbiter of truth. When the left is the arbiter of truth in a given issue, they are going to be like fucking happy about whatever happens, and then they're only going to complain about it when it's the right that's the arbiter of truth. It tends to be a very, very polarized discussion where many people tend to be hypocrites about it, which is very infuriating. Open sourcing the algorithms, yeah, we're going to get to that. And Twitter Blue will verify you are the big ideas he's talked about on Twitter. Yeah, and I like those ideas. I'll say it. I don't condemn every single idea that Musk has for Twitter. But we're spoiling the content here. I was going to get to that. Yes, but name you were getting banned off Twitter for saying learn to code. Wait, really? Yes, you can get kicked off Twitter for saying learn to code. Know Your Meme has a post explaining this that cites this exact forum, including its origin, 4chan, and its political message. Journalists told laid off coal miners that they should learn to code, so now it's their turn is the mindset. What? In that case, learn to code name? I've worked as a software engineer for 4 years. Learn to code is an expression used to mock journalists who are laid off from their jobs, encouraging them to learn software development as an alternate career path. Man, okay, just because it comes from 4chan, yeah, I have to agree with you, Magic Turtle. This is fucking stupid. Fucking BuzzFeed article, too. Published a quiz. Should you learn to code? Blah, 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 blah. On January 24th, 2019, Jalopnik editor-in-chief Patrick George tweeted he believed in a special dedicated section of hell for people with anime profile pictures who tweet learn to code to journalists who had been laid off. Within 24 hours, the tweet gained over 1,300 likes, blah, blah, blah. The tweet was posted shortly after the announcement that BuzzFeed laid off 15% of its staff, and the Huffington Post had eliminated its opinion and healthcare editorial sections. Some have argued that the phrase learn to code was adopted as a response to articles. That day, Redditor, their good dogs Brent, submitted a post asking what's the deal. Yeah, I don't know. By the way, if any other journos targeted by layoffs are getting masses of learn to code harassment, it was coordinated on 4chan, of course. If it's coordinated by 4chan, I understand that Twitter wants to stop the harassment campaign. Like, there is a nuance here. There is a fucking nuance here that it doesn't go off from what you said, Magic Turtle. It's more nuanced than what you responded or than what you reported. Twitter is responding to a targeted harassment campaign against specific individuals, a policy that's long been against the Twitter rules. So, like, yeah, if there is a harassment campaign, even if the term that it uses is innocuous, such as learn to code, it's still a harassment campaign. I think that's a fair moderation decision from Twitter. Now, if they start banning people who, outside of a harassment campaign, if you do tweet it out outside of that context and you get banned for it, and you're like just shitting on someone who lost their job, but you're not part of a coordinated harassment campaign, that would be fucked up. Maybe that also happened. I don't know if that happened, but if this is true, if it's about the harassment campaign, then I have to side with Twitter on this. And thank goodness Elon Musk bought Twitter. His freedom of speech is real and wasn't some bullshit scam. Hello, how are you? How are you doing, Spaniard? I don't know. I don't know if Musk is. I don't know if Musk is real about freedom of speech. people have brought up some of his stuff he's done in the past, and he's done some shitty stuff as far as freedom of speech goes in the past. He's took a journalist who criticized him off of the Tesla waiting list. He has shut down unionizing. Like I would consider unionizing. Unionizing speech is perhaps up to debate, but it's definitely not. It's definitely a freedom. Well, it's his company. I'll have this. Unionizing is a right, okay? And now Twitter is his company. True. Is him taking the guy off the waitlist that bad? That just seems funny to me. It is, but it's still retaliation over speech. It's the principle of it that people are criticizing it. It's retaliation over speech from someone who's now saying that they're all about free speech. Is it that good of an argument? No. Like it's not something that actually matters in the real world. Unionization is not a right. What? It's literally protected under U.S. law. Union busting, like forming a union, is protected under U.S. law. You can choose not to form a union as well, but it is a right as a worker to try to form a union. And if it's demonstrated that an employer can break the law in union busting. I don't remember the specifics of like where the limit is, because obviously the employer can also prosecute against the union, as we've seen with Amazon, where Amazon was showing ads to its employees that hey, the union's going to cost you money, etc., etc. Like that's legal, but Amazon cannot stop the union from forming. That's illegal. And obviously Musk didn't do anything illegal either, but there is a principle here. The principle that workers are allowed to form unions, or have a right to a union. So absolutely, it is a right. Like it's protected by law. Have the right to form a union. How is that semantics of right to form a union and unionization is a right? Like unionization is forming a union or joining a union. Ization of something is the forming of it or the joining of it. Like people trying to tell someone how to run their company is kind of fucked up. It's like me going into your home, Neyman, and trying to tell you how to run your home. No, that's not fucked up. If I show up at your home and I'm gonna go extreme on this. If I show up at your home and you're torturing someone, hell yeah, I can tell you how to run your home. Of course I can criticize that. If you do something wrong, whether it's in your home, in your company, on your property, I am absolutely entitled to call it out. Property is not the be-all end-all of law and of what's right and wrong, because law and what's right and wrong are different things as well. You are definitely not entitled to tell anyone how to run their home. Yes, I am. If you do fucked up things at home, I am entitled to call them out. If you're a pedophile and you do pedophilia in your home, I am absolutely entitled to tell you shouldn't be doing it. Just because you do it at home does not make it okay. Nope, you have no authority at all. And there's no society that exists where people have where that's when you call the police. Okay, you're playing. Yes, yes, the police have the actual authority to intervene. Yes, but that's not. I feel like you're playing semantics a bit there. Also, honestly, I don't think the court. If I see you actually like murdering someone at home, I don't think the court will side with you if I trespass, break and enter, and intervene. There is in law an obligation to not an obligation, but there is like you're not supposed to ignore someone in distress, basically. So like going back to the pedophilia example as well, if I can break someone free from your home that you're holding hostage, I absolutely can. Telling someone how to run their home. I absolutely can. I absolutely can tell someone that they're running their home wrong. Like how is this so contentious? So like according to you, if I see someone being a pedophile actively, I should call the police, but I should not say that what they did was wrong, because I would be telling them how to run their business at home. Do you realize the disconnect there? Of course I can say that they're running their home wrong, and I call the police. Running my home is not breaking any law. Oh, if you're not breaking any law, then sure. You'd also be protected by freedom of speech to tell him how to run his home. That's actually true. Actually, me telling you how to run your home is protected speech. But regardless of that, okay, I'll concede that you're not breaking any law. So I'm not gonna like delve too much into what's your own personal business at home. However, Running a company, first of all, yeah, what Catvin just brought up is relevant. We put laws into place about what you can do in your home. We as a society decide how you can run your home to some extent. Yes. And that's where I want to get at. In a company, there are shared responsibilities of that involve many people who are strangers to each others, who have different relations of power. There are people who have power over other people, and we as a society usually agree that those relations need to be regulated, and that there can be abuses. So those abuses can be legal, but they can. No, Catvin is saying. No, Catvin isn't bringing up breaking the law. Catvin is saying that if I disagree with what you do in your home, I can vote or contact my lawmakers and make what you do in your home illegal. So I actually can intervene in what you do in your home. That's what Catvin was saying. Anyways, you can do things that are wrong but still legal, and those things you can absolutely criticize them. If someone does something in a company that is legal but that I don't like, I am absolutely entitled to criticize it. And since I am for unions representing workers in order to balance out the power dynamics between employers and employees, if a CEO is very aggressive against unionization, I will say that he is wrong to do that. I'll say it not from a legal standpoint, because as far as I know, Musk has always respected the law in that regard. I'll say it from an ethical standpoint. What they did was wrong, and them owning the company does not entitle them to harming other people, since I believe that is harm. So, like, moving away from the law argument, because I understand, our earlier disagreement, I misunderstood what you were saying about the home stuff. I went to like extremes of breaking the law. I understand you have a bit of a different position than that. Like, my position truly is one of fundamental ethics. And I can absolutely be a pundit on the ethics of what happens in someone else's home or someone else's company. I think Spaniard is talking about more of an etiquette thing, like people shouldn't trash talk how others manage their personal affairs. And I agree with that to a certain extent. But running a company is not a personal affair. Running a company is a public affair. That's why I also point out that it involves hundreds, if not thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, for the biggest companies out there, of people. You need to look at the entire situation of what Elon Musk brings to the table. Is Elon Musk equality the same as the union benefits? Is it the same as health benefits? Is it the same all around as union? What? Are you saying that unionizing would have lost them benefits that Elon Musk offers? That historically has never happened, to my knowledge. I cannot think of it ever happening that forming a union led to workers losing advantages. No loss or gain. Oh, that it would have been neutral? I don't think so, because a lot of workers who have lower positions in the company, there are many articles about it, have complained about the work conditions. So them getting to unionize would have 100% improved their work conditions. They would have been able to have leverage in order to change the working conditions. What I'm saying is, since Elon Musk chose against unions in his company, did he bring the same benefits? Oh, you mean did he, in response to the willingness to unionize, fix the company in order to make it so the employees didn't need to unionize? I'm not aware of that happening, no. But maybe that happened. That's not an angle I've looked into. My understanding. Okay, let's resolve this then. Musk unions. Tesla ordered to have Elon Musk delete anti-union tweet. Oh, he actually did break the law. The National Labor Relations Board has decided that Tesla violated labor laws when it fired a union activist. So they actually literally broke the law in this regard, by the way. So that kind of breaks down this whole argument. And when CEO Elon Musk wrote on Twitter in 2018, "Nothing stopping Tesla team at our car plant from voting union. Could do so tomorrow if they wanted, but why pay union dues and give up stock options for nothing?" Among other things, the federal agency has directed Tesla to ask Musk to remove his offending tweet and to offer a job back to the terminated employee, Richard Ortiz. Tesla must also compensate Ortiz for the loss of earnings, benefits, and adverse tax consequences. The employee was part of an organizing campaign, Fair Future at Tesla. At the time of the campaign, Tesla said its business should stay union-free. But Musk's public comments on his Twitter account, where he has tens of millions of followers, were seen as threatening. Tesla considers Elon Musk tweets to be official company communication, as disclosed in its financial filings. See, if Elon Musk is against unions for his company, but he brought the same benefits, would a union matter then? Yes. Yes. Just because you are able to negotiate the person in power to make concessions to prevent you from gaining power does not mean that they're now going to be acting in good faith to treat you well. They've gotten what they want. If you don't, literally what you're describing is a situation where the employer only acts under threat of the employees gaining power. So in such an adversarial interaction, exactly what Bookie just said. In fact, I would argue that if the interaction is that adversarial, the employees probably need a union so that they can guarantee having continued negotiating power in the future. Because a malicious employer at that point could either start slowly rolling back improvements to the workplace, while maintaining that, like no one wants to join the union, it failed, etc. But honestly, like I'm not denying that what you described can happen. Like an employer could have their eyes open, like, oh shit, working conditions are bad, and act in good faith, and then fix working conditions. But honestly, if an employer is acting in good faith in that way, then like one of the most immediate ways to ensure that you treat workers well would be would be to have some group of workers that would be able to raise complaints and issues with you, bypassing like management. So you would actually create something very similar to a union, maybe without the negotiating power, but you would still create clear lines of communication between the lowest tier of workers and the highest tier of management in order to be able to address issues at the lower rungs of the company. I think that makes sense. So you don't like chain of commands? That has nothing to do with this. What I don't like is and that has nothing to do with what I like or don't like. It just has to do with the fact that getting like the collective opinion of the workers in lower rungs is nigh impossible to do in an honest way for upper management. A middle management can be, depending on the situations, can be like acting in good faith and be willing to poll the workers underneath them to get honest opinions. But do those workers trust their middle management? They might not. They might have had bad experiences with management and not trust that they can openly give their opinion. And then bad actors in middle management can very easily be motivated by their personal profit motive and hide problems. Because hiding problems and then leaving the company 2 years later to get like a huge promotion and a raise by moving into another job at another company is actually a standard strategy in the corporate world. There's very little company loyalty of the kind that you would be needed to make the chain of command be that as reliable as it would need to be for messages to go all the way up where if they need to. Bigger picture, I think people matter more than businesses. They shouldn't let a business control a human's life to such a degree. I want to nuance that. Like, businesses also affect people's lives in very meaningful ways. But sure. How does a union help that? I'm ignorant how they work, to be honest. So a union is basically going to elect representatives from the workforce who've signed up to the union, and those representatives will be able to come to the negotiation table with the upper management of the company and voice their concerns. So if there are systemic concerns, if there are concerns that affect most workers that are being represented by the union, they will have the collective bargaining power of all the united workers, but also, considering what I talked about, where we're discussing like chain of command and communication, they have a voice. They have a voice to bring to the table. In other words, without a union or other means for bargaining, workers just hope on the good faith of management and the board. Exactly. And that can happen. Like, there are good companies out there. It's easier to fight a company as a collective instead of as an individual. Yeah. Also, unions provide legal help if you run into problems. This is something lefties have trouble with, by the way. I'm gonna nuance this a bit as well. Lefties are so fucking pissed when police unions lefties get so fucking mad when police unions provide legal assistance to cops in police brutality cases. That's literally union's job. The union's job is not to check if the guy did right or wrong. It is to provide support for the workers that the union represents. This is a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people on the left, but that is the union's job. Unless it's already extremely clear that the cop did something fucked up. If you support police having unions, which you might make some argument that certain jobs shouldn't have unions, perhaps. But if you support unions for everyone, then you have to accept unions giving support to police who run into legal issues, no matter what their legal issues are. And that's normal. And the police union is right to do that. Well, the experience I've seen in Chicago, the unions act more like a mob than helping people. Other states could have unions better, but Chicago is just a whole other realm of unions. I can see that. There actually are historical examples of unions having ties to criminal activities and to mob. I think it's more of an exception than a rule, for sure. Otherwise, I wouldn't be that supportive of unions. But unions can definitely fuck things up. And in fact, the balance of power can go too far the other way. That's also something that can happen. The balance of power can go too far in the union's direction. And if that happens, I will actually be on the side of the entrepreneurs leading the company. Because it's about a power balance. There's a conflict of interest between employees and employers. And there are many situations where employers do know better how to run the company. They have the bigger picture, and if the employees make the decisions, they can actually run the company into the ground, for example. And if the union has too much power, it's going to harm the company in ways that long-term actually harm the employees. I love unions, but not police, lol. Okay, but there's just a huge cultural difference between unions in the US and the EU. Probably as well. In Europe, there are way less stories of unions having ties to the mob, at least to my knowledge. Like maybe in Italy, it's a bit different. Italy has had the mafia problem, but at least in France, I haven't heard that much of that issue. Yeah, even if the cop most likely did bad shit, they should support him. Yeah. Like, legal aid is a right, first of all, and unions are there exactly for those kinds of situations. It's like the ACLU helping crazy people defending their free speech. Yeah. My grandfather was in the Teamsters union back in the day, and it was 100%. Teamsters was 100% connected to the mafia back in the days. Yeah, I don't know that specific union, but yeah, that should happen, and that's bad. I'm not going to defend those unions. All right, can I get back to Elon Musk? Or are we still talking about unions? An example of what happens here is that if a company announces mass layoffs, the unions will organize strikes and negotiate either a smaller layoff or better financial outcomes for the people laid off, or both. Yeah, that happens a lot in France as well. That has been one of the biggest roles that unions have had in the past 20-30 years in France. Like negotiating better layoff packages, negotiating smaller layoffs, etc., like keeping factories alive. One intrinsic negative of unions that I've heard about is that they favor current workers against new workers sometimes. Don't know how true that is. Favor in an unjustified way. I haven't heard that one, but I did hear one. This one I heard from Destiny, and it's a really valid point. Except it's kind of a valid point against a straw man in the sense that I'm sure people do exist who think that unions magically solve racism, but I haven't met those people in reality. Which is that, like, people who say that unions are the be-all end-all of equality in a company, it doesn't resolve all problems. A union can be racist. A union can be all sorts of fucked up shit. If the workers collectively decide to be racist and to refuse, like, people of color and push them out of the company, then, like, that can happen. That probably has happened. I don't have an example at hand. That 100% has happened historically. So yeah, unions can do bad things, absolutely. He was in the Navy for like 4 years and was fine, but then he got PTSD and became super bad alcoholic after his time working for the union. Damn. That sucks. Just want people to keep an open mind at what's happening to Twitter and hope for the best. That I agree with, Spaniard. Let's connect on that. I also think a lot of people are being super alarmist about Twitter. Like, honestly, personally, I half expect nothing to happen, like nothing to change. But anyways, let's go back to the article. We're done with unions. Or almost done, because chat is still on about it, and I'll read chat messages. The thing is, the mafia took over the unions and protected the interests of capital bosses instead of the union members. That's a fair interpretation of what happened, but still, the point is that unions are a power structure that can act badly. Like all power structures, really. I'm the type of guy, if I say something, my word is my honor and respect. So when Elon Musk's main core reason for buying Twitter was surrounded by freedom of speech, I just hope it's true and not some bullshit political stunt. Yeah, what scares me when he says freedom of speech is that moderation is important. And a lot of people tend to downplay how important moderation is in social media and online spaces when they talk about free speech in online spaces. Did Twitter make moderation mistakes? Probably, but the decisions that they have to make are extremely hard, and people oversimplify how hard they are. And I'm scared that Elon Musk doesn't really grasp all the nuances of moderating a public space. It's really not a simple problem. So when he talks about free speech, actually I'm a bit afraid. I'm not against it. I'm just afraid he doesn't really understand all the issues. But if he's a reasonable person, he will understand that the people he will be working with are experts in the matter, and he'll listen to their input. And decisions will be made collectively with the moderators of Twitter who have had the actual experience working there. It would be interesting to see how advertisers on Twitter feel about the change. Are prices changing? Maybe. That is a good thing to look at. That's a good question. We'll have to see. Okay, so Musk's comments on free speech suggest a billionaire could loosen rules on how tweets are moderated. However, experts fear a service that already struggles to wrangle disinformation and harassment will become worse. Yeah, that's what we just said. Like, moderation is not an easy task. Musk has also hinted at other features he wants to implement, such as trying to rid the platform of spam bots and a system for authenticating all humans. This I like. Twitter does have a bot problem, like most social media. However, this could backfire because bots are great at simulating engagement. And advertisers tend to look at engagement metrics and not really be critical of them how they should. So Twitter might, long term, this would make Twitter a better place. And long term, it would pay off. But short term, this might hurt advertising revenue because the metrics data, even though it will be closer to real engagement, the numbers will be lower. And that might hurt, that might make advertisers shy away from Twitter. But long term, it will help Twitter. This is a really good decision, in my opinion. It's also possible Musk wants to shift away from advertising and focus more deeply on Twitter as a subscription-style service. This is a weird one. I think subscription might kill Twitter, honestly. Twitter has barely made any money since it was launched, by the way, yeah. Reactions to the deal have been mixed. Okay, I don't care about that. Does this mean Donald Trump is going back to Twitter? I've wondered about this, yeah. Authenticating Humans is going to be based on Twitter Blue, the $5 ad-free subscription service. Subscription services are the future. If you can't afford $5 a month, you shouldn't be on Twitter anyways. Well, the problem I have with that, Magic Turtle, is that what actually drives the core of Twitter is not the people posting. It's the people engaging with the influencers. That's what drives the core of engagement on a site like Twitter. And those people aren't going to pay $5 a month just to be able to shitpost. Because you can shitpost in other places. There are free alternatives everywhere. So I am afraid that that would not help Twitter. If it just becomes a bunch of influencers who will pay the $5, like, absolutely, circle jerking with each other, then I'm confused. You'll be able to read tweets without subscribing. Engagement is not just reading. Engagement is liking, which maybe you'll be able to do without subscribing, but it's also responding and retweeting and etc. If you cannot retweet, if you cannot respond without paying a subscription, which is what we're talking about, then that will harm Twitter as a business. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's going to make a worse platform. I'm just saying it's going to harm it as a business. You'll get less engagement, and I'm not talking about what I was saying about like less bot engagement, because bot engagement is fake anyways. I'm talking about less human engagement. A lot of people love screaming into the void, myself included. Look, imagine I wasn't a streamer. Imagine I wasn't a streamer. Would I still go on Twitter if I can't shitpost? If I can't, like, call bullshit on some random tweet that got 1 like? No, I would not. If I wasn't a streamer and I was looking at a $5 subscription to be able to post, I would literally only ever look at the tweet when someone else links it to me. I would just never go on Twitter. All I can speak of is like how I would interact with a subscription as a random user. That's my point of reference. Twitter has been free and I still can't be arsed. Yeah, exactly. Now maybe I'm not the target demographic, but I feel like it would still be really, really biased towards people who want to play the social media game. That's what I mean by when I say influencer. Like, anyone who wants to play the social media game is going to pay the $5. Of course, it's not much money. In a world where everyone assumes you're a fake account if you're not verified, would you subscribe? Not if I was a random schmuck. But if I'm trying to play the social media game, like I am right now as a streamer, then I would, yeah. That's like my entire point. I know, like, obviously we're going to see what happens if he implements it. Maybe I'm wrong. Tesla tanked after deal was announced, made a couple bucks on puts today. Totally, I would never have paid for Twitter. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The bots are the biggest threat to Twitter, in my opinion. No, I agree. The botting of Twitter is bad. I just don't know that the subscription model is the solution. Wait, we need to pay $5 a month to shit tweet? That is one of the things that Elon Musk is suggesting. To have to pay $5 a month to be able to shitpost. Jack Dorsey is this is a good point, by the way. Jack Dorsey is confident in Elon Musk doing good by Twitter. No, the sub isn't to tweet, it's to be verified and not get ads. Okay, my bad. Never mind, you can shitpost all you want without paying a subscription. It's only going to be to not get ads, and it's going to be to get verified. That's it. Does Trump's site cost money? Is Truth Social Media? Truth Social. I probably should not go any farther inside Truth Social on stream. I might get TOS'd. Tesla and SpaceX CEO describes himself as a free speech absolutist. God, I hate that term. What is that? It's Trump's social media. It's like Gab, but MAGA. God, I hate the term free speech absolutist because there is no place in the world where anyone sane argues for absolute free speech. That expression drives me crazy. Anyways. And has criticized what he sees as excessive moderation on online platforms. He nodded to these beliefs in his statement, announcing the purchase by saying that free speech is the bedrock of a functioning democracy, and Twitter is the digital town square where matters vital to the future of humanity are debated. American free speech absolutist is what I assume. No, it's just like, I'm going to be a bit semantic about this, but like free speech is outlined under the American system, sure. I mean, that's probably what he actually means. It's just, I want to be pedantic. Absolutism means absolute. It means I can like say bad things about you that are false. It means I can blackmail you, and it's protected free speech. That's what absolute actually means. So it fucking pisses me off that it's used this way. But sure, you're right. Like no one who's pro free speech is gonna be like, yeah, I want to have the right to blackmail people and it being protected speech. Like, come on. Musk has argued that social networks should not remove comments that, while offensive, are still legal. During a recent interview at the TED conference, he said, if it's a gray area, let the tweet exist. Blackmailing is not protected free speech. I know it's not free speech. You misunderstood what I was saying. I was saying that if we follow pedantically what the words mean in absolute free speech, absolute means no exceptions. That's like the actual meaning of the word. So I'm saying if you call yourself a free speech absolutist, even if that's not what you believe in, the words mean that. And so I'm saying the term free speech absolutism pisses me off because it's used to describe a political position that is not what the words actually mean. That was what my rant was about. But I understand that that's not the actual position of free speech absolutists. Yeah, so the problem with this is, okay, sure, I guess it's a confusing way to frame it. Yeah, that's like my entire point. The problem with this is, okay, I think this is okay, but only in combination with a separate part of what Musk wants to reform with Twitter. Because just by itself, relaxing moderation is extremely dangerous on social media. We've seen this with the Facebook whistleblowing, showing that engagement-based algorithms play into the worst parts of our societies and our personalities. They play into rage bait, they play into outrage, they play into racial tensions, they play into everything that long-term harms a society. Not everything, but many things that harm society long-term. So relaxing moderation just by itself, without reviewing the algorithm, is extremely bad. But the caveat is there, and I'm getting ahead of myself, is that Musk did promise to, in an open source way, review the Twitter algorithm and allow it to be redone. If an algorithm can be fixed to not be purely engagement based and to balance out the depravity of the human soul, our desire to engage in outrage, then and only then do I agree that moderation can be relaxed. Hi again, bro, and thank you, Aaron. Cool to see, cool you are from Transylvania, US here. Yep, no drama troll here, just love this channel. Hey, welcome back, Sad Night. Hope you had a good time. I agree with what you highlighted. You might take offense if I can be an asshole on Twitter because of the full context. Doesn't mean I deserve a ban. Yeah, like being an asshole doesn't get you a ban, sure. It's got to be a case-by-case situation. Sure. People are assholes all the time on Twitter and they don't get banned, by the way. Like that's not an actual issue in Twitter. Just look at like fuck, I don't want to start drama. I so want to like name a couple streamers who are constantly assholes on Twitch. I'm not gonna start drama. I'm gonna shut up. Hey, UIXWFQIT, welcome to the stream. How are you doing? We're on the Musk and Twitter part of the stream program. Okay. I agree that racist remarks should be dealt with immediately. Yeah, okay. I agree with that too. Racism, harassment campaigns, I think should be definitely looked at as well. Dealt with as well. What else? Threats? Like anything to do with violence to a certain extent? Not good Franglish. Oh, t'es français? Okay, I don't know what's a harassment campaign.
Can be used like an octopus to suffocate and pull apart my enemy's arguments.
Yo, thank you for the follow, Paluki. How are you doing? So a harassment campaign would be... No, I'm from Poland. Oh, siema, Żomku. Przepraszam, myślałem, że mówisz o francuskiego, bo Franglish, wiesz, FR, to jak... to te literki zwykle znaczą francuski. No, ale ten stream, ja mówię do ludzi po angielsku. Większość ludzi, którzy oglądają ten stream są Anglikami, a więc muszę po angielsku gadać. Sorry. Taki żart, no. So a harassment campaign is when it's similar to what they call brigading on Reddit. It's if a group chooses to go harass someone. So for example, imagine I had 1,000 viewers right now, and I tell you guys, I like go on Twitter and I tell you guys like, this random person, they're a terrible person. Okay, let's go Anais Ninbot. They're so fucking dumb. They're such a bad person. Blah blah blah. Go tell them they're a dumb fuck. Go tell them they're horrible. They should delete their account. Like technically, all that I told you to do is okay by Twitch TOS. But collectively, if 1,000 people show up and start doing that to this person, this is not a person, this is a bot, then that's not okay. You get what I mean, Spaniard? Now the problem is you kind of have to review that on a case-by-case basis. So there's a difference between people collectively disagree, like on their own disagreeing with something. Like on the surface it will look the same. If 1,000 people independently come across this tweet or this account and they don't like it, it's going to look the same as a harassment campaign. So what the difference between it is if people are organizing it intentionally or not, then it needs to be moderated. If it's people independently disliking something, then I think that's free speech. It depends. Cancel implies removing someone from a platform, which a harassment isn't necessarily. Trying to take people down would come under a defamation case as well. Yeah, defamation cases are impossible to prosecute, but I get what you mean. Hey, monsieur, I just got off of work. I just want to let you know I did not watch any other Twitch streams during my absence. Good. He loyal, he's strong. The Twitter currently bans harassment, abuse, and posts that wish physical harm to someone. The platform has other guardrails too, like a prohibition on misinformation relating to COVID-19. Experts who study social networks fret about Musk's push to loosen the rules of engagement on Twitter. They say that could give license to harassers, trolls, and others who wish to abuse the platform to target people. They also worry relaxing the rules on Twitter will empower those looking to exploit the platform by spreading misinformation or flat-out lies about political events, government officials, and matters related to public health and safety. This is like... I don't like random companies being the arbiters of truth, even if I concede that there has to be arbiters of truth. What people forget is social media platforms have to abide by the rules and regulations of the country they operate in. So Twitter in the US, for example, does not run in the same way as it does in the EU. That is true as well. That is true as well. Wake the fuck up, Samurai. We have a website to burn. True. I tweeted about this, actually. So remember how I talked about calling out dumb fucks who make like ignorant one like posts on Twitter? I love doing that. I love doing that. And you know what? I did that today. Twitter is an international platform. The law in one country is different to the law in another. Indeed, the will of the people in one country is different to the will of the people in another. I strongly suspect you're going to wind up regretting this acquisition. Third issue, the law requires interpretation. By free speech, I simply mean that which matches the law. There are several problems with your argument, I'm afraid. Political processes take time, and the technology of social media is always changing and adapting, meaning the law is playing catch-up, and the will of the people is usually ahead of it. Secondly, which law? It's an American company. It will adhere to American law and values, but it operates internationally. I live in the UK. That means right now, for me, Twitter exists in a British regulatory context. The world is complicated. Simple. Twitter is an American company, and this should operate under US law. Any other company has a problem with that, they can blow it out their ass. Also, I could have sworn it was a Frenchman who said, he's quoting Voltaire, allegedly. I don't think that, we don't know if that quote actually happened. I may not agree with what you say, but I'll fight to the death for your right to say it. What happened to that energy? The best way to fight that battle is to call the other guy's bluff. We won't let you use this thing if we can't get a say in how it's run. Twitter, okay. EU? No, 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 no. So, I pointed out the reality that when Facebook threatened Europe of leaving the European market because of regulation, Europe called the bluff. The EU said, okay, you don't want to abide by regulation? Leave the market then. Facebook came back to the negotiation table. If Facebook is not willing to abandon the European market over regulation, I don't think Twitter is going to do it either. And that's how I earned this response. Go stuff a baguette up your ass, Jack. I'd be so whatever if Facebook was gone. Dude, I would be fucking happy, honestly. Yes, please. Please take Facebook away. Shut it down. Create an edit button so users can change their tweets. One of the most requested product changes among Twitter users is an edit button. Unlike Facebook, Instagram, and other social media apps, it is not possible to change content on Twitter once it's published. Musk has said he supports letting people change what their tweets say, a proposal that has stirred a heated debate among academics, journalists, and other heavy users of the platform. The fear among experts is that adding an edit button feature would be weaponized by bad actors, who could use it to cover up abuse or harassment as if it never happened, or to dupe or manipulate people. But others say safeguards could be put in place so that tweets could be edited to clean up typos, while also showing a history of how the tweet was edited to preserve the original content. Yeah, there are ways around that. I agree with that. I'm sorry, but how can anyone take this argument seriously? Adding an edit button is bad because it'll be used to harass? No. Yes, that is a dumb argument, but being concerned about a bad implementation of the edit button is a fair argument. I would like to bankrupt all the American big pharma companies that rip Americans off at 10-20 times the price of operations and meds governments pay for in the EU. Yeah, but then again, like on to do like something similar as I just did with the Nestle example, like what are they supposed to? How are people going to get their medication then? Like, I guess they're just trying chicken. You know what I mean? Like, reforming healthcare is probably a better solution than just nuking the companies. Like, we can keep doing that same argument if those are essential goods. Basically, you would need to find a company that does harm, but that is not an essential good. Yeah, edit buttons have been on other platforms for years, and shows you the previous comment before the edit. Yeah. They're just crying chicken little. Oh no, Elon is doing something again. That is true. A lot of this is people just getting mad at Elon doing something. But, which to be fair, Elon is 100% enjoying this. He fucking loves being the center of attention. He plays into that too. Like, let's give him credit on that. How about one of those companies scamming old people on the phone? Oh yeah, 100% bankrupt all of those. They're maybe okay. They're not maybe not the most harmful companies on the world, but those are an easy bankrupt. Absolutely, no gray area in that one. Open up Twitter's algorithm to the public. This is one of the most interesting things that Elon Musk has promised, in my opinion. And this in combination, this actually, like I was saying earlier, in my opinion, this enables being able to eventually lower moderation standards. Because if bad discourse doesn't get automatically promoted by the nature of social media, algorithms, then bad discourse is by definition less harmful and can be more protected by free speech. Musk has said that the software that determines what people see and how widely content spreads on Twitter should be cracked open. He supports placing Twitter's algorithm on GitHub. Oh my god, that's going to be a shit show of a project on GitHub. A site popular with programmers for sharing computer code. While some advocates of more transparency at social media companies say that that could be a step towards greater openness, others say revealing Twitter's dense and complicated algorithm to the public would accomplish very little. Furthermore, allowing anyone to see Twitter's algorithm could give spammers and malicious actors a way to exploit the system. This is okay, so this last argument is very problematic. You see this in InfoSec all the time. Oh no, revealing your encryption algorithm, people are going to be able to find errors in it and exploit them. Dude, I want people to find errors in it. I want them to find exploits in it so we can fix them. Obfuscation is not security. Obfuscating the algorithm does not protect it from spammers and malicious actors. It's opening it that protects it, because opening it means white hats will look through it and fix the reasons why those malicious actors can exploit the system. People who have literally zero respect for open source. Yeah. Fresh promise from Techno King Elon. Uh-oh. Twitter DMs should have end-to-end encryption like Signal, so no one can spy on or hack your messages. Oh shit. You know what this marks? This marks the return of Al Qaeda on Twitter. Unironically. Like, and I'm not saying this is an argument for, like, you shouldn't have end-to-end encryption, but terrorist and criminal organizations fucking love end-to-end encryption. But I still advocate for end-to-end encryption, okay? Privacy is a right, but that's like also the reality of having end-to-end encryption on a communication platform. But that's pretty cool, I think. Your mom liked end-to-end encryption last night. Good one. I think Elon knows something is fishy about social media and is happy to blow money just to make it public and watch other platforms like Facebook go running for the hills. Yeah, and we've covered on stream the Facebook whistleblowing stuff. There are huge problems with social media algorithms, and I hope that and I think making the algorithm open source. Now, with that being said, as a software developer, I must add something. Making the algorithm open source on GitHub is not enough. You need to add to that transparent data and transparent tools to be able to model the effects that changes to the algorithm could have. If people don't have access to proper big data structures of what's happening on Twitter, for example, then they cannot create models to analyze changes to the algorithm. They'll be like fucking monkeys on typewriters trying to make changes to like fix the algorithm, not knowing what the effects will be. You need to have like an experimental sandbox. You need to have an experimental sandbox within which you can actually fuck around with the algorithm. Otherwise, open sourcing it does nothing, because none of us have the expertise to know what our changes will do. I think he's talked about making it possible to choose different algorithms to get different types of feeds on Twitter. Not sure if I'm remembering that right, though. That would be an interesting option, too, for social media, actually. Then there's the fact that a social network the size of Twitter processes billions of pieces of content every day. How and why tweets go viral, and how Twitter's recommendation system works, is so dense and complex that the company's own software engineers can be perplexed trying to understand its logic. And without the underlying user data, which would not be public, the algorithm alone would likely provide few clues about how ranking works at Twitter. That's what I just said. This is literally just what I just said. I did not pre-read this article, okay? Someone linked it to me in chat. This is exactly the point I made. I would love different feet on my Twitter, ooh. God bless I never used Twitter. Yo. Everyone who's not using Twitter, Go make a Twitter account right now. Follow me on Twitter to get the hottest takes, the sickest updates, and the shittiest dunks. And why am I doing this? Oh yeah, you're gonna have to pay $5 to do it after. Not really, but I need to chill. Okay, that's it. I'm sorry. You don't have to. My Twitter presence doesn't fucking matter. But you know, I gotta do the influencer thing. Launch a war on bot armies. Yes. Or do you mean special military operation? Combating the proliferation of bots on Twitter. Fake accounts that are programmed to respond to tweets on certain topics is another change Musk favors. Musk's business empire has been known to attract its fair share of bots, including bots supportive of his electric car company Tesla that attack Musk critics. He has not said he would like to temper those kinds of bots, but he has suggested that there should be a crackdown on scammy bots promoting cryptocurrency hustles. Oh no, of course that shit should be fixed, but this is so fucking funny to me because he's the one getting used in all of those crypto scam posts. Like almost every single time, it's like, "Hello, I'm Elon Musk, and for every Ethereum you send me, I'll send twice back at you." Ho ho. They like use his face every time for that. This feels personal to me, is my point. Like, this actually feels personal to me, if this is true. Like I said, I want to know when and if he takes over, depending on the review of the company, and how many users are fake or bot accounts, but that will also reflect on other social media companies when they will lose revenue when people learn the organic growth is being held up by fake bot accounts. Big YouTube accounts have said they are fed up with bot accounts, and they want to know how many bot accounts are active, but YouTube will not give out that info because ad revenue, same with other platforms. Yeah, we talked about it earlier, right? I don't know when you joined the stream, but we talked about it earlier. The reality is there's a conflict of interest for social media companies where long-term, cracking down on bots will improve user experience and will improve the social media platform. So long-term profits will be better, but short-term, because ad people only look at like raw numbers of engagement metrics, short term you will lose revenue by cracking down on bots because bots generate their own kind of engagement. And so you lose all that engagement. And we will defeat the spam bots or die trying, adding that he'd like to authenticate all real humans. So that goes back to the subscription model. Should be noted that Twitter already has strong rules against spam and bans things like attempting to artificially influence conversations on the platform with fake accounts and bots. So the question remains how exactly Musk would strengthen an already robust anti-spam policy. Yeah, it seems like more of a technical issue than a policy issue. Like the policy is already there, and the technical issue is not easy to solve. I've read developer blog posts on how they try to solve this issue. It's hard. They're like people who've worked for Facebook, people who've worked for Twitter. It's not an easy one. The verified only Twitter is the answer. Yeah, that's like the only like apps like. Yeah, I agree with that. That would work. When YouTube gets 9 billion users, but the world has less people, lol. Yeah, as an opt-in to filter to Twitter. Yeah. Scrap advertisements. Right now, almost 90% of Twitter's revenue comes from advertising, but the company has struggled to attract advertisers to the platform, which often devolves into political firestorms and ugly online brawls. With the company going private, it will not be under the same pressure from shareholders to continually grow advertising revenue. Musk has said it should move to a subscription model. Twitter has already taken some steps in that direction with the introduction last year of Twitter Blue, a premium service that costs $3 a month for additional features, like an undo button that allows for tweets to be recalled before they are sent. Musk has said Twitter Blue should be cheaper. Oh, so it's less than $5 a month. That if people are paying, they shouldn't have to see advertising. Currency that started as a joke, Dogecoin, should be an acceptable form of payment for a Twitter subscription. Ah! How do you ruin such a good take? Why did he have to throw Dogecoin in there? Is he actually trolling? I wish they showed the original post. Because I like he has to be trolling. Magic Turtle, is he trolling? Or is he serious? Wait, do you get ads even if you have it? Apparently, yes. Musk loves Doge, yeah. What's wrong with getting paid in Doge? The fact that it's a joke currency, the fact that it's like extremely extremely inflationary. I mean, assuming they're not holding the Doge. Well, because you're making people buy Doge, okay? That's what's wrong. Legitimizing Doge as a currency, I think, is problematic. I don't know, maybe Doge has the potential to be like the perfect currency for whatever the fuck we're doing on this world, but I don't know, man. I'm really concerned. Concerned Doge, exactly. I'm really concerned by the inflationary aspect of Doge that is completely uncontrolled. So we live in a society, true. And a big unknown, reinstate Donald Trump. Musk has not publicly said whether he would allow former President Donald Trump back on the platform. In an interview with Fox News on Monday, Trump called Musk a good man, saying he was pleased with the billionaire's acquisition, but Trump said he has no plans to try to return to the Twitter. Instead, Trump said he will be focusing on his alternative social media network, known as Truth Social. At an all-hands meeting on Monday afternoon, a Twitter employee asked CEO Parag Agrawal whether Trump would be reinstated. Agrawal said that was a question for Musk. Once the deal closes, we don't know which direction the platform will go. There you go. That's the article. NFT meme collection is something I never want to hear again. Well, that brings us to our next segment. I'm sponsored by NFT These Nuts.